Hello, welcome to another edition of Just My Thoughts here on Sparks 1524. I'm Nathaniel Miller. The political silly season is upon us. That means the airwaves are full of vitriol, people insulting each other, people saying that the other political party is going to destroy the country, people saying that this candidate will lead to fascism, etc., etc., etc. Tomorrow we have a midterm election here in the United States, and this kind of political hyperbole has been with us for hundreds of years. Go back to the 1800 election between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. The only difference was you didn't have digital media. However, one of the issues that is one of the undercurrents running through this political season is the censorship and suppression of misinformation. What is misinformation? Well, simply put, misinformation is stuff that's wrong. It's a gamut, a spectrum of everything from somebody who post something accidentally that is not correct, and it's a good faith mistake, to people suppressing information or putting out false information to specifically support an agenda. In my written column, which I've linked down below in the description, I discuss the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story and how that shows strong evidence of having thrown the 2020 election to the current incumbent of the White House. The story was suppressed supposedly as Russian disinformation. You had 50 or 55 national security experts and intelligence experts sign a letter saying this is Russian disinformation. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, NBC, CBS, and CNN, nobody except Fox News and the New York Post would run the story. It was suppressed and censored. Turns out it wasn't Russian disinformation. It's an actual real story. The FBI is actively investigating the president's son. In fact, the FBI was looking at the president's son back during the election 2 years ago. An entire election was likely swayed, it wasn't likely, for a number of voters, and I do discuss this in my written column, a number of voters, the election was swayed by that issue. It was swayed by a lie told by people who wanted not to protect the country. But when you get down to it, they wanted to protect their political power, their status as the elite thinkers. That's the trouble with suppression of supposed misinformation. Who defines what misinformation is? Again, if you post that you enjoyed that blue apple and you typed blue instead of red, technically that's misinformation, but clearly you just weren't thinking and typed the wrong color. But that's misinformation. Are you going to suppress that? Should I suppress that and censor it? During the COVID lockdowns, there was a lot of debate that was shuttered about whether vaccine mandates worked, much less were worth it, especially when it became general knowledge that the COVID vaccines don't prevent COVID. They mitigate it, much the way flu vaccines mitigate the effects of the flu, but they don't stop it. So why are these mandates being put out there if the vaccine doesn't do what we initially thought it would do? That whatever side of that issue you're on, the debate was suppressed. It was censored. It was not allowed because somebody said, hey, you out there, you have no right to talk or think about this, so we're going to take it away. That's the trouble with censorship. Somebody else is deciding for you and for me what we're allowed to think. Somebody is using us to maintain their power. Interesting study by the First and 14th Institute. They're named for the First and 14th Amendments. They did a study over between September 27th and October 4th. And that was a small study. Their sample size was 1,100 people. Of that 1,100 people, 49%, about half, which is about 550 or so people, saw on social media in their accounts information that was flagged as flagged as false by the social media overlords. Here's the kicker. Of the people that saw that, half of them, 53% of the people that encountered those blocks and banners, stopped trusting the social media sites. In other words, by suppression and censorship, those sites lost credibility. And as soon as you lose credibility, nobody's going to listen to you. You might have the cheerleaders in your corner who have the same religious fervor you do about the issue, but the people you're supposedly trying to win over are going to ignore you. They're going to go elsewhere to find information, So define information that's being allowed to flow freely. Another interesting thing about those is that, let's see, where was it in here? Yep. Social media users, however, were confident with a platform that used harmful / not harmful tags instead of true or false. Think of that like this. We already, I don't often use the glasses because they reflect the lights, but I got to read. We have most TV networks, be they traditional or streaming, will put up a graphic content warning. The following program may not be suitable for all audiences, etc., etc. We have no problem with that. Because that is not telling us, not telling you, it's not telling me what you're allowed to see or not. It's simply saying this, you may find this harmful, be careful. We're used to that, and that's actually not a bad idea. But telling you that something is simply not true, well, who the hell are these people at Facebook, at Twitter, at Instagram, at YouTube, to tell us what is true and not true, especially when so many times we've seen them proven wrong? How often have we seen fact checkers proven wrong? And it turns out that the way they quote unquote, air quotes, fact checked something happened to support a political agenda that they were advocating. There is no easy answer to misinformation. Again, it goes the gamut from honest mistakes to intentional falsehoods designed to advance an agenda. The only way to combat it while maintaining your credibility is not censorship or suppression. It's meeting it head on with facts in a clearly, concisely, and firmly stated manner. And if you have to hammer it over and over because you're against an adversary who is trying to influence something the wrong way, that's what you have to do. Suppressing information destroys your credibility because people stop trusting you. I'm a 50-year-old independent man. I sure as hell don't want the Democrats telling me what I'm allowed to think. I don't want some corporation that's Democrat-leaning to tell me what I'm allowed to think or talk about. I don't want a corporation that leans to the Republican Party to tell me what to think. I don't want the Green Party or the Independent. I don't want somebody telling me what I'm allowed to talk about or think. Combat misinformation with information. Firmly, clearly, concisely stated. I'd also say be as respectful as possible, because if you get into a shouting match, we all know that. Once a shouting match starts, nobody's listening. But fight misinformation with information, not censorship, not suppression. Well, those are just my thoughts. Again, we do have a midterm election tomorrow, so for those of you who see this, all 44 or 45 of you, go vote. If you vote, if you think the Democrats are the right party, put them on your ballot. If you think the Republicans are the right candidates, put them on your ballot. But make sure you think independently and come to the conclusions on your own, not conclusions you were steered into because you were not allowed to see all the information out there. Till we meet again here on Sparks 1524, I hope you have a great week. Again, go vote tomorrow, and until we meet again, go do some great things.